Okay, so here we are at the bills section of Xero. You can get here by clicking on business and then bills to pay. That takes you to this screen. Now in dashboard, that gives you information about our accounting, our bank accounts, that is. Accounting gives you lots of different reports that you can run. We'll go through those another time. Contacts you can ignore. For now, we're just looking at bills. So here we are in bills to pay. So we can see everyone's draft bills. So anyone who's created a draft bill here we have visibility of. They haven't submitted those for approval yet. Here are the bills that have been submitted for approval but not yet approved. And these are the bills awaiting payment. Now, this is actually misleading. Awaiting payment is not what they are. Most of these will have been paid. They're just sitting there waiting for certain criteria to be fulfilled. So where it says 122, I think that's probably more like 40 or so that will be paid in the next month's pay run. These bills, some of them are historical, some of them are awaiting funds to pay them, some are on our books as accruals, but we haven't yet been able to settle them. It's probably better that we just focus on the awaiting approval right now. So this is what you're going to be seeing when you are a senior manager and you have reports who are submitting bills. It's very important to say that you need to be clear about exactly whose bills you are approving and reviewing. These are your direct reports. If there is anything that's unclear or any area of uncertainty, then make sure that you're very, that you're sure about whose bills you're supposed to be reviewing. As a senior manager, you have an approval level of $5,000. Now, this is $5,000 within planned expenditure. So this is budgeted and planned for expenditure. If the expenditure is outside of the normal, if it's an exception, then you need to go to the budget holder. If you're not sure of who the budget holder is, then go to a member of the senior management team to support you to make any payment or any approval decisions that you need to make. But for now, let's assume you know who your team is, who's reporting to you, and you also know your budgets. It's very important to have a good understanding of your budgets. Probably a good idea to have them open while you're actually reviewing these expenditures and these bills that are being claimed. So let's look at one, for example. We're looking at Tim's for March 2020. Now, the things that we have to check in Xero. We need to check that the bill is from the right person. This is the person who's going to be paid. Obviously, you know that. The date has to be in the month in which the payment is being accrued. So, or the charge has been accrued. So let's have a look at this bill. Hopefully you can see it. There we can see, that this is actually dated the 1st of April. So that should not be in the March expenses. This is a bill for 152 Fijian dollars for Perspex. That's number 1. So that bill should actually be in April's expense claim. Now some of the let's have a look here. So yeah, 31st of March, that's correct. 25th of April, that's also correct. March 20 expenses, and FJD is the currency. So that is the correct format for the reference. We've made sure that the currency here is correct, yes. And then we would go through and check number one, correct amount. We found out it's the wrong date. Fine, we'll change that later. Number 2, we can go into the each bill, but just to check the amount, paint at a total of $200 paid, $60 changes, $140 correct. Let's make sure that, so the description is, it probably doesn't need to be any more than that, that's fine. Quantity 140 is unit price correct, materials and supplies correct account, and the donor code is also correct. Now when you're doing approvals for other people, you will obviously need to make sure that all of these things are correct. The common things that people get wrong are the account code, because it auto-generates and sometimes that's wrong, and the donor and program code are also often incorrect. It's less often that we get incorrect values, but this does happen. The other common thing that people don't get right is the currency, and of course that can throw everything off. So we can go through all of these bills individually, but I don't think we need to right now. If you do need to make a change, then it's probably best to talk to the person who originally submitted the bill and to tell them what needs to be changed. Detail that in an email or a message to them and get them to change it. Because here you can see at the bottom where it says show history and notes, you can see all of this history here is recorded. So if this is a bill from Tim, so all of these changes really should be from Tim. If you're going in and changing something, maybe you're just changing a date like I did yesterday, or you're you're adding some detail into the description or something, that's fine. You shouldn't really, as the person who's supposed to be approving this, you shouldn't be making substantive changes. So task your staff with doing that. Now always, unless instructed otherwise, amounts are always no tax. You can see here this amount is supposed to match with this amount. I really don't understand the point of this area, but sometimes it will tell you that the two figures don't match, in which case you just have to change this amount here. As the supervisor, you have the power to approve. This is the whole point. But you have to make sure you are checking every bill, every line, all of the details, because this is the data that goes into our account system that tells you how much of your budget you have spent. And you know the old phrase, crap in, crap out. So this is the first line of defense in making sure that the data that goes into our accounting system is accurate and valid and useful. So that's basically approving expenses. The same process goes for time and effort, but just make sure that you're checking the timesheet, you're checking the allocated donor and program codes and the amount. So for a time and effort report, obviously the quantity is the days and the unit price is the day rate. So you have to make sure that you're on top of everyone's contracted salary amounts and that you know what their day rate is off the top of your head. If not, you can just make a quick cheat sheet. One useful feature here is print PDF. So this gives you a PDF version. I don't know if you can see this in the recording, but a PDF version of the oh my goodness, it gives you a PDF version of the bill. It just tells you the description and the quantity and unit price, etc., etc. It's actually pretty helpful if somebody is after some, after information around about their bills, time and effort reports, and so on. There are some other bill options as well. You can delete bills, but that's probably best left to the person who originated them. And when you save a bill, it's still visible to the original creator. So the two people who can see this are going to be the creator and you. Assign expenses to a customer, you don't need to do that. You can add lines if you need to add more. I think that's everything. Oh, no, it's not. There is one more feature that you need to know. So here we have a feature that adds a note. This is like a note to file for the reference of auditors and colleagues. So this maybe would say I don't know, payment of the bill was deferred for 2 months while something was sorted out, or something like that. Just so that if somebody's looking in the in Xero. Sorry, I was getting distracted by that. If somebody's looking in Xero and they see that this bill is awaiting approval, then they can go into the bill, look at the note, and it will say evidence was insufficient to approve this bill for the April payment run, and then that will serve as an explanation of why the bill is still awaiting approval, and that will stop me or Sue or someone coming to you and saying, hey, why haven't you done your approvals? The note can also refer to, say you have made lots of changes, lots of edits, then you can give a good reason as to why. This will be read by an auditor if they're checking the bill. They'll see that and they'll understand, okay, well, the supervisor has made lots of changes because X, Y, Z. Okay, so I think that's pretty much everything.